Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today we have author Tashia Beaty on our channel. She's a children's author. Welcome, Tasha.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine. Now tell us a little about you.
I am a educator. I teach first grade. I have two children and a husband. I have been an educator since 1999. I've taught anywhere from pre-K to second grade. Currently, I teach first grade, and online teaching is different.
It is. It is. All right. Tell us about your book first.
My book is called Squiggly Fixes the List and the Miss, and it is about a chicken who actually has autism, and he thinks in patterns. So his gift is numbers and making sure everything stays in order. Um, it has the twist of autism, but it also is a story about number sequence, because the number sequence is, of course, what his gift is. And it also has comprehension in the book as well as rhyming. So it has a couple of different ways that you can use the book. But the main goal and vision of the book is to teach children and sometimes parents, a lot of times parents, because some people don't know that children with autism have special gifts, and Squiggly's gift is the gift of numbers and putting numbers in order.
Okay, you say you teach first grade. When
Mm-hmm.
you went to do this book or start this book, writing this book, and you finished it, what did your students think, or have they read it?
Oh, they absolutely love it. Some of the students, if I read it, well, the last time I read it to them, some of them have it at home and they know like every word. So they are actually reading the book to me as I'm reading it. And it was really enlightening to see
Mhm.
my students grasp the book. I also, for Read Across America Day, I read to all the students, actually pre-K through second grade at my current school. And all the kids just loved it. I think I had the best like outgoing emotion from the kindergartners, because they were all the whole rest of the time that we were in school, they would just come up to me, Squilly, I want to see Squilly, and talking to me about Squilly. So it was just really great. And even the ones that didn't remember my name, you read us your book about Squilly. So it really fits the age that
Mhm.
I wrote it for. And as I wrote it, I wanted to make sure that small children would enjoy it as well as learn to read it, because I really think that childhood literacy is important. So I wanted it to be that once they get to second grade, this is a book that they could really, by the end of second grade, could fluently read.
Mhm. Mhm. How did you get started writing books for children?
Well, actually, I wanted to write children's books as long as I've known, as as long as I've just always wanted to do it, and I was really pushed by my husband to go ahead and get the first book out, because we've been together 8 years, and ever since I've known him, I've always said I want to write a children's book. It
Mhm.
was really weird because after I did it, some of my friends came back and said, "You said you always wanted to write a book," and I would look at them and say, "Oh, I told you too," and they were like, "Yeah, I'm glad you finally done it." So it's just been something that I've always wanted to do, and then this year as well with this class that I taught, I had to read a lot of stories to them to help build the reading fluency. And
Mhm.
something just snapped in my head. You have to do it. You're reading everybody else's books. You have to be able to read your own book for your class. So I finally did it.
Where did you get your story ideas from?
Well, years ago, I started working with children in 1999. And throughout the years, I've always had some time with children with autism. And not that I've been in the whole full setting, but I've always been in the presence of children with autism. I've had to teach children one time or another with autism, and even with teaching some children recently, I've been able to kind of, I can't diagnose, but what I've been taught and through my background, I see these characteristics.
Mm.
And normally the autistic children that I've come across, they all love numbers. Now there are some that loves to draw and loves to sing. They have their other talents. So I thought, what can I do to help spread the word that children with autism are really a lot of times very gifted,
Mm.
very smart. They get a routine on one thing that they love, and that's just their constant pattern, and they get really good at it, whether it's science or reading, whatever their gift is. So I wanted to make sure that I spread the word to small children, because I've also saw in the classrooms, even in preschool, the other children is kind of looking at an autistic child like, well, why does he act like that? So I want the world to know and learn they all have gifts. We all have a gift, and there's no exception to children with autism.
What was your favorite thing about writing this book?
My favorite thing about writing it actually came after it was written, just to see the look on children's face when I read it to them. And when I ask, normally I open up with, who's the author, because they're small children, we have to teach them author, illustrator, and things of that nature. So when I talk to them about me being the author, the way their eyes just come alive, and I immediately catch their attention. Even if they wasn't paying, they're like, oh wow, you did this. And then they have all these different questions on how did I do it. And that's just another way of teaching children that you can do this too. You can be an author. You could have the gift of writing. You could have the gift of being an illustrator. It's possible. So it actually opens up a lot of things with just having a book in front of children.
Okay. Do you have any advice for kids who love to write, and how about kids who don't?
The kids that love to write as much as you can. I'm a big fan of writing, of course. I'm an author, but even my first graders in my class, there were some that came in that did not like to write. But I explained to them that writing, for those who don't like to write, writing is everywhere. You're going to have to write no matter what profession you go into. You have to read and you have to write. So one of the things I would say to my students as first grade, I say, well, you got to kind of get with it now, because you have all the way through college. If you want to go even into college, you're going to have to write. So find something fun to write about. If you like video games, write about your video games. If you like, for the girls, cooking or playing with the little LOL dolls or whatever it is, make your own story up. Find something you like to write about, and it'll be a little bit better when Miss Beaty tell you you have to write about this certain subject.
All right, would you read a little snippet from your book today?
Sure. What I will do is I will read mainly about Squiggly, because at the back of the book, you'll find the comprehension questions that I absolutely love as a teacher, as well as for parents who want to make sure that they're touching the comprehension skills. But I do, because it is Autism Awareness Month. April is Autism Awareness Month. I want to go ahead and make sure to read to you all about Squiggly and just reiterate why the book was written. And here's the picture. This is actually Squiggly, and this is Snick. Snick is actually inspired by an animal that's in my home. My daughter has a bunny named Snickers, and we call him Snick, and he's a gray bunny. So that's Snick. It's really neat because my daughter right away thought, oh, this is an awesome book. I thought that's because it's Snick in there. But she's 20, so I got her attention.
Yes.
Well, it says, autism, misunderstood by many, all about Squilly. Squilly is a representation of a child that has autism. Although he appears to look like all the other chickens, he has a noticeable difference, which is an excessive interest in numbers and placing numbers in order. Squilly loves routines. Numbers help him keep his routines in order. Many times, children with autism are misunderstood for being different or having disabilities that hinder them from having a life like other children. But children with autism have many talents. Just as Squilly was able to help the farmer get his farm back in order, children with autism can help society in many different ways with their individual talents. This book was written to help early readers learn about the differences in children with autism and help children understand that children with autism have special gifts and talents that can be used to help make the world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at the very back. And I just want to show you all the picture of Squilly. And that's as he walks into the farm and he's trying to help the farmer put the list back in order and get the farm back in order.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
What is most important when writing a children's book?
The most important is making sure that you have the right target. You don't want to put too many words in a book that is for children that is in kindergarten. You want to make sure that it's age appropriate. And you don't want to write a book, Squilly Fixes the List and the Miss, specifically for children that are in the 5th grade. It would be a great book for them to read because it's teaching about the talents, but you want to challenge them at the level that they need to be challenged on. So picking the right word choice for your book. As I wrote Squilly Fixes the List and the Miss, I had to make sure that I wasn't putting any complicated words in because I do want the children to eventually be able to read the book on their own. If when you're writing for children's book, if it's a picture book, illustrators, picking the right illustrator and making sure that your vision and the illustrator's vision matches up because you don't need a numerous amount of words when you're reading, making a book for pre-K, preschool, kindergarten, but you do need to make sure that your words and your pictures move together and work together so your story can actually be understood.
Okay. What books have had the biggest influence on your life?
I'm a big Dr. Seuss person. I love Dr. Seuss. It's very inspiring. I like think he's the greatest. I like the characters, the craziness of it, the quirkiness. Sometimes you just don't know where he's going with his books, but it's just something to it that you're like, oh, this was a cute book. I love The Cat in the Hat. I do enjoy Karma Wilson books, her bear books, Bear Snores On, Bear Sleeps On. They are about a lot of manners and being kind and nice, and it uses all animals. And I think that was one of the reasons why I chose a chicken. It is an animal, and it's a animal that children they know what it is. You don't have to guess. It's not like an anteater. Anteater, you don't really know, what is that? Especially at the young ages, but a chicken is there to see. And those are my favorite, Karma Wilson and Dr. Seuss. And I have like every book of both of theirs.
We know that children are more likely to become lifelong learners and readers if they have strong role models at home and in the community. Who has been a reading role model in your life?
I would have to say my mother. And it's weird because as I grew up, and this took me some time to reflect. Recently, I reflected on this because I had to pull back. Where did this come from? Where did this reading and this writing come from? Where did I get this from? But I was born in the 70s, so we didn't have computers and we didn't have phones and things of that nature. And I can remember my mother telling me little stories after my dad would go to work, and I must have not been in school. It was before school age, and she would just make up little stories, and we kind of fall back to sleep because my dad had to go to work at like 6:30 or so. And I also reflect on the fact that I had a lot of books in my room, and I always saw my mother reading a book. I always saw my mother reading the newspaper. She still reads her newspaper every day. And it was just always, I didn't have a lot of video games or
Mm-hmm.
any of that. And I would fall into books. And my mother, it had to be her. And I asked my mother if she remembered. She said, yes, we always had books. My mother is not an educator. She's just always had a book in her hand, and it just moved over to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my inspiration.
What has been the best accomplishment thus far as an author?
um, I'll have to go back to my classroom and just the way that they look at me and tell me that I'm famous. And I'm like, well, I'm still just your teacher, and they'll hear things. And like when they saw my name on the posters and through the school saying that I was the author that was going to read to the school, and they were just excited. Yay, look what you did. This is our teacher. So they really made me proud and build me up, because I was just thinking, oh, it's just a book. And they were like, you're awesome. That's a great book. And when they would come to the school and they would have their book, and they, Miss Beaty, sign my book. I got one. So that to me was something that I really feel like they're in the first grade now, but they won't forget me.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't forget them in the way they made me feel after writing my book. And it really gave me the oomph to keep going.
Yes.
So book 2 will be out in about the end of May.
Okay. What made you decide to become a children's author?
Because I work with children, and children is what I do. I could not see myself really being any other type of author. I have thought through a co-worker before I wrote the children's book. She told me I need to write a book to new teachers, an informational book giving them tips on what to do in the classroom. And I looked at her and I thought, but I was supposed to write a children's book. She said, oh yeah, you can do that, but you definitely need to write a book to new teachers, because I don't know what I would have done without you. And I thought, So I did toss that around, but I thought I got to go with my goal and do my children's book first. So that other book is somewhere out there. It's going to come, but I've got more books to come with Squiggly and some more gifts of autism. But children, it's just, I've done it for 20 years and I've read so many books to children. It's just feels like that's really just what I was supposed to do.
Okay, Snicker, is his name Snicker, the bunny?
The bunny in the book is named Snick,
Snick.
but he comes from being Snickers. We originally named my daughter's bunny Snickers because of the color. She looked like she was a little brown or so we called her Snickers. And then my son started, for short, calling her Snick. So when I wrote the book, I put her in there as Snick.
Okay, will there be any books about Snick?
I am anticipating. I don't know. Um, I actually just wrote some things down on my notepad yesterday with Snick. Um, I know there are more characters coming, but
Okay.
I don't know if Snick is going to continue to be a sidekick and a helper of the characters with autism, or Snick is might have autism. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What projects are you working on right now?
I am working on Squiggly Sorts It Out. Working with the illustrator. The book is ready, just waiting on the manuscript is ready, just waiting on the illustrator to get completed. And in Squiggly Sorts It Out, he still has his same gift. He's going to sort out the fruit and for the gardener. In the book, the gardener will be me. And I also have integrated another animal from the home, is our Labrador Rocco, but he's just called the little black dog. And the little black dog is trying to get to the fruit that's all mixed up.
Mhm.
And Squilly's going to be there to help the gardener straighten
Okay. How can readers get in touch with you?
that out. With me personally, I have a website, is autistictreasures.com. I also have Facebook. You can look up my name directly, or you can look up autism talents. It's all one word, autism talents, and that will be the page for my book. The book is available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or you can also order it from my website and request that it be autographed by me, and I will autograph it and send it.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
I just wanted to, make sure that everyone understands that the book has several qualities. It teaches about number sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It also teaches, it's a rhyming book. So children ages 3 to 7, they really enjoy it. And even when you don't say it's a rhyming book, once you start reading it, it's like, hey, that's rhyming. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's enjoyable for them to read, and it has the comprehension in the back, and then it also teaches about the um, the gifts of autism. So it has a lot of benefits to it, and I just want to make sure that people understand it's not written only for children with autism. It is written for everybody to learn about the gifts and talents of autism. So if you don't have autism, it's a great book to learn from, because 1 out of 59 children are being diagnosed with autism. So there's a very high possibility that you know someone with autism. Also, in addition to that, on my website, I have worksheets that goes along with the book. There's one, and then here's just a coloring page.
Okay.
So that will, you can get different worksheets, and it'll be great to use during your homeschooling. Try to pull in something fun,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all. My website is autistictreasures.com.
All right. Thank you for coming in today, Tasha. I really do appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, you heard it. Tashia Beaty. She's an author, and the title again is
Squilly fixes the list in the mist.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.
Bye.